Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the InvestNet Institute on Campus webinar series. Our speakers today are Michael McLaughlin and Monica Lupinetti from McLaughlin Asset Management. For your reference, all lines have been placed into a listen-only mode to prevent background noise. If you would like to submit a question, please type it into the Q&A console located on your GoToWebinar screen. We will attempt to answer as many of your questions as possible during the Q&A portion. If you have any technical difficulties, please email investnet.platform@investnet.com for assistance. Additionally, we will be recording today's event and expect to make it available shortly. I will now turn it over to Jim Seifert, Chairman of the Board of the InvestNet Institute on Campus, who will be monitoring the panel for today.
Thank you, Katie. Good afternoon, everybody. Today's session is dedicated to answering your questions surrounding the wealth advisory business and how you all are going to thrive in that world going forward. So with us today, as Katie mentioned, we have Michael McLaughlin, we have Monica Lupinetti, two senior advisors with a fantastic firm located in Haddonfield, New Jersey. In a couple of minutes, they're going to frame up their business, how it operates, some fun facts behind their firm, and then we're going to get right into your questions. So in fact, that's how we're going to kind of do this. There are many of you on the phone gave us fantastic questions, and we're going to attempt to get through all of them in the next hour. So I'm going to moderate after Mike and Monica kick off. We'll take probably 45 to 50 minutes, hopefully, to get through most of them. We're going to stop because hopefully you're going to have some thought-provoking questions that'll be on your mind, during this presentation, and we're going to try to get to as many of those in the next hour. So it's going to be a lot of fun. Once again, this is taped, so many of you should come back later on and revisit. And with that, I only have one final 2 points to make. The first one is for full disclosure that Mike and Monica's firm, they're my families. They're the Seifert family's advisory team. So just a kind of a heads up on that. I may interject some of my personal thoughts as to how they're working with myself, our kids, even our mother-in-law. So I may chime in on occasion and hopefully add some value there. And then last but not least, please keep in mind that you'll hear a lot of opinions in the next hour, and they are just that, they are opinions. So with that, keep in mind that you should go out and seek counsel with all of the influencers and all the people you rely on as your personal board of directors. Take it all in and make your own decisions. All right. So questions, have them all typed out here. We've had multiple rehearsals on this. Let's get to the fun here. So
don't mess it up, Jim.
Do that first. We're going to get Mike and Monica, and you guys can tell us a little bit about the firm, and then I'm going to ask the questions.
Yeah.
Too much for rehearsals. Go ahead, Mike.
Want me to kick it off?
Go for it.
Jim, Katie, thank you. We're so excited to talk to everyone today, and we love the business that we're in, and I've been in it for 31 years. So to talk about it to people who are, just beginning their careers is the best thing that you could ask for. So we're super excited to go over some things. And again, Jim did say it right. Monica and I definitely going to have opinions about our business, what we see the future. We're going to talk about technology. We're going to talk about a lot of things that you all are thinking about right now. And again, get other opinions, get other counsel, and do it in a way where you're hearing from a lot of different segments of our very large industry, the financial services industry. It's huge and vast, and we're only a little portion of it, but I think you'll understand a little bit about what the independent advisory business is all about, and what we do as a firm, and who we work with, and how we serve our clients. So real quick, here are some milestones from our firm. And I say a firm, so we are a corporation. We are employees of this company, and we built the company over many years. I founded it in 1991, but there were some milestones throughout that period of time. And I'll give some kudos to Jim Seifert, who was one of the founders of Lockwood Advisors. And I met him in around 1996, 97. And he and his partners had this great vision about what the future of the investment advisory is going to be like for independent advisors like myself. And I learned a heck of a lot from his firm and many of his associates. And I took it hook, line, and sinker and built the firm that we have today by all those great ideas that I learned in 1997. The big turning point was I was a one-man show with some assistants, but Monica joined the firm in 2006. She was a seasoned veteran in the banking industry and was a commercial lender and just added what we needed for our clients to take us to the next level. I got my CFP. Many of you are doing that or enrolling in that right now. I got my CFP in 2007, so I didn't do it way back in the 90s. I got it later on when I really knew I needed it. And then Linda McLaughlin, my wife, Linda's partner, our partner, joined our firm full time because now we have a big staff and need a lot of other things besides people client facing. So there's a lot of work that gets done in this firm that's not client facing, that's super important to deliver what we need to deliver to clients. In 2015 was another milestone for us because we engaged a partner that is our primary investment arm of our firm, CNR, City National Rockdale. We started that relationship in 2015. We've never looked back, and they've really helped us grow as a firm. In 2018, we hired our first intern who was an intern with us, and we loved him, and he's fantastic, and we hired him as a full-time employee. So that was a great, I think, milestone for us, and we're going to continue to do that. In 2019, we hit $200 million of assets with CNR, and we're over $500 million in assets, $500 million as a firm in 2019. Also in 2019, another McLaughlin joined the firm. My daughter, she's a CPA. She graduated with her master's in accounting from Penn State and worked for KPMG and also Alliance Bernstein up on Wall Street. Had a lot of great experience, and she's 28 years old, and she was a great addition to the firm and has helped us a lot, hit the ground running. She's been here a year. And then this year, just to cap it all off, because we do want to grow from where we are now, to get to the next level that we want, we need more help. Jim's a big help to us in that regard. And we hired another professional firm called CEG Worldwide as our coaches. They do coaching and they come in and help us do a lot of different things that we cannot do on our own to kind of take the next step with the growth of our firm. So that's like a capsulized kind of lot of years there in the making, but we thought we would show some milestones just so you all can get an idea about how these firms evolve over time. I wouldn't say they all evolve like this, and I would say a lot of advisors who I met many, many years ago are still the way they were 20 years ago as a one-man show or woman show, one advisor, maybe two assistants, and that's how they run their whole career. And that works. We just wanted to do it a little better. And there's obviously a lot of firms way larger than us, than we are, and we aspire probably to be like them in the future. Monica, did you want to add anything to that? I've been taking up all the time.
I think that was all good. That's good.
All right.
So maybe
now
we could talk then. Well, no, wait, one more.
We have two.
Now we're going to talk a little bit about how we're structured. So we could go to the next slide. There we go. So Michael had mentioned that, along the way, I joined him and Linda McLaughlin joined us, and together we really operate as the partners of the firm. And we deal with not only the management of the firm itself and the coaching and mentoring and counseling that takes place for the rest of our folks, But we work on a day-to-day basis. Our number one, priority every day is managing our existing client base. I'd say second to that is thinking ahead about how do we add to that client base, right? We're always looking to maintain and what we have, but also add to it. And we also, as Michael said, he made a decision very early on that we were not going to manage any money in-house. So we do not wake up every day thinking about what stocks to buy, what mutual funds, et cetera. We wake up every day thinking about what we need to be doing that day for our clients in terms of helping them meet their goals, which really is more planning oriented. The whole team is really very focused on the client. So the first bullet point you can see for the wealth management team and the client service team is client relations. Every one of us is in the business of managing these client relationships, but we do distinguish between our roles to a degree. So the wealth management team, which are the two associates that Michael was talking about, so his daughter Megan, and then Josh, who we had hired 2 years ago, they really are our two associates, and Michael and I are also part of that wealth management team. We have weekly meetings, we have day-to-day conversations, strategizing about different clients, and Josh and Megan really are the ones who are doing the primary meeting prep. We have 2 to 3 meetings per day with clients. Prior to COVID and Zoom, it really was maximum about 2 meetings per day. With Zoom, we're able to squeeze in a third because you just have more time available. And so that's a lot of meeting preparation. It's a lot of note taking. It's a lot of follow-up, most important to any of that, because we talk about things during the calls with our clients that all require various follow-up for different people on our team. And that's those two associates that are really keeping track of all of those tasks that we have coming away from a meeting, making sure they get entered in our client relationship management system. And then also they are helping our client service team in terms of prioritization. So our client service team, we have 2 senior associates there that primarily deal with new account paperwork, onboarding clients, getting them set up online so they can see their accounts, distribution management. We have a lot of clients that are in retirement that need money on a regular basis or money for projects, et cetera. And then compliance. They have definitely responsibility to make sure that we're reporting everything that we need to from a compliance perspective. And then we have one woman on our team who is a associate practice manager, and she really helps Linda McLaughlin with actually managing the practice. There's certain reports and things that we do to know how we're doing, and we need to schedule clients for meetings and things like that the practice manager oversees. So our team in total, I think that's 9 people. And we do a lot with a small group of people, mainly because we made the decision that we wouldn't manage the investments in-house. We have a whole team of over 200 people behind us in that regard with our partnership with CNR, City National Rockdale. So that's our team. It gives you a little bit of background about how we're structured and the different roles and responsibilities, the different team members. So Jim, now it's time for questions.
That's fantastic. No, thank you. That's well put, everybody. So the first question, I'm so anxious because I dig this first question that one of the participants sent us. It's around technology. So we have a do-it-yourself world out there. We have a number of young people on the phone who are maybe doing it themselves, doing advisory, wealth management. Maybe they're using Mint for their budgeting apps. So a lot going on there. How do you guys feel about quote unquote robo advising in the future? Is there a place for it? How do you interact with technologies you guys like to use? That kind of a thought process.
I'll kick it off, Monica.
Okay.
Jim, it's a great question, and we embrace and love all the new technology and the evolving technology in our industry. It's amazing. So robos are here to stay. There's no doubt about it. I think it's great. And one of the things that I failed to mention, and Monica did also, is that we are in the consulting business, for 401ks, retirement plans for businesses. So we do some work there, and how that relates to Robo is that we've seen the effects of how great technology can help people early on with understanding how money works and investing and asset allocation, all those tools that these robo type advisors give to people, and we think it's great. Remember, that marketplace for the most part is we call it accumulation marketplace and distribution marketplace. So accumulation is you're investing money, letting it ride for the long haul. You don't need income out of it. It's not you're not in retirement or any of those things. So we think that the robo has a place there because a lot of times it's not a super complicated issue, and people are just beginning and learning how to invest, and we think that is great. Long haul, can the robos handle everything? The answer is no, they cannot. A great example of that is that when there was volatility in the marketplace in the beginning of COVID, some of the robo platforms crashed. They crashed because people didn't know what was going on. They overrode the system. They didn't know what was going on, with their portfolios, et cetera. Now they got all that fixed, but I'm just saying, like, those kind of things happen. And the behavioral side of the equation, which is talking to an advisor who knows what's going on and can help you through what I call the behavioral part of finance, and not just a robo asset allocation, is critical. So yes, Jim, they have a role. I think they're fantastic, and we think they're very good for everyone learning, how to work with money. But the marketplace that we're in primarily in our practice is people sort of getting ready for retirement, close to it, 10 years out, and they need a heck of a lot of planning that the robos can't do.
Yeah, I'll just build on that, Michael, from the standpoint of, I think when we first started hearing about robo advisors, and it was, you couldn't pick up an article without seeing something mentioned about it, and the gain in market share, et cetera. I think that most advisory practices did feel threatened to a degree, and felt that, at least on the investment management side, that there was some commoditization that was taking place because of, the more volume you're bringing in, which you're able to do when you're reaching out to the whole country, right, over the internet. The sheer volume of that allows you to build scale. And if you're using models in terms of the investments to how you deliver that solution, then you're going to be able over time to bring the price down of that offering. So we had already made the decision not to be really in the investment management business as our biggest differentiator. We knew we needed a really damn good solution, but we sought that through a partner versus that being what distinguishes us and the value that we particularly add. So I think that it was a bit threatening to some advisory practices. I think we were well on our way, even at that point, to distinguishing our value. But it made us even dig our heels in further around that we need to even elevate a little bit more. And we need to build on the human connections that we really are able to have with our clients and really expand that. And one of the ways we've done it is, like, Jim referred to, that we really have made an effort to build out our clients so that it's a family relationship, that we are working with, the children, we're working with, your mother-in-law, et cetera, and just have a deeper relationship with our clients and really understand what's important to them. So I think it just made us differentiate ourselves more, and we're going to continue to do that going forward, and with the work that we're doing with CEG, like Michael said.
And I'll just chime in real quick before the next question. I using the I word, hope that these technologies, the robo technologies, continue to thrive, because they will only help us with financial literacy, the issues we have out there. It'll just get better and better. I'm going to comment on that, a little later on. But nothing's going to replace, as Monica and Mike is pointing out, that human interaction when things start to get complicated. So one quick example, our youngest is a Marine, just gets married. Robo advising would have been cool, right off the bat, and now, boom, child. They have a child. Next thing you know, they want to have a house. Next thing you know, they have to decide, what to do with the mortgage. Do you rent? Do you buy? What type of, which way do we go here? And lo and behold, as we're going down that path, and Mike and Monica's team, namely Megan, who is about the age of most of you on this phone here, she is working with each of our children. And as far as my son Graham, the Marine, she is working on the budget. She's working on the Roth IRA versus other options, and that can only be done through a conversation. You can't kind of do that through any sort of a turnkey technology platform. So there's my two cents worth. So on to the next question. So our next question is,
Jim, just to add one last thing, as an opportunity for the folks on the phone, as you're thinking about the different type of avenues that you can go, we could not have really kind of build out our capabilities around really working with your family, Jim, and other families like yours, without having somebody like Megan and Josh on board, because it's much easier for people to relate to their peers and for Megan to talk to them about budgeting versus me talking to them about budgeting. I sound like I'm preaching, whereas she is more coaching. So there's an opportunity out there and a lot of advisory practices for younger folks.
Well said. Thank you. Thank you for bringing that up. So the next question kind of dovetails into what we just covered. What do you think your secret sauce is? What's separating your growth, what you're all about compared to kind of what you're seeing out there?
Yeah, Jim, you've experienced this, but I think we dig really deep in understanding our clients. We really ask a lot of good questions. We really want to know much more than what your portfolio allocation is. So I think that level of planning, and one of the things that most of our families, if not all of them, experience is that you need to have a leader. You need to have someone in charge, sort of like the CFO of the family. So we definitely apply for that position, and we usually get hired for that position. What that means is that we're going to talk to your other advisors. One of the first questions we ask a new client or a prospective client is, have you had a meeting, not all in person, but everyone in the same room or on Zoom with all your other advisors? Does your attorney know your accountant? Does your accountant know your insurance agent? All those things need to be coordinated. For a really good plan to work long term, we are the leaders of that process. So that's what differentiates us. We're very comfortable talking to an attorney and challenging an attorney on issues, and we're collaborating with them and getting good teamwork there. We're very good at talking to a CPA on the CPA's level, asking really good questions, and having the CPA have confidence in us that we know what we're doing. Same with an insurance person, employee benefits person, all the things that are important in that whole process. So that to me is a differentiator for our firm. And quite frankly, Jim, and I think you would agree with us, that's what people are going to pay for in the future. That's the advice they're going to pay for. Monica said it succinctly, and I'll just say it again. The money management piece is going to be more and more compressed in the future. Not that it's a commodity, and there's a lot of great firms. The firm we work with is fantastic, but that piece is going to be a piece that we're going to try and squeeze in the future to be less and less cost to the client. And then the real crux of it is the planning and value that you give to make that investment program successful. It can't be successful on its own, ever. It has to be integrated with your plan, your taxes, your estate, philanthropy, all those things. If it's not, it just stands on an island by itself, and it may or may not be successful.
I think we also, we have the luxury of being a smaller firm. So we're a boutique firm. We have all the resources behind us with our investment partners, so we know we're getting kind of the best of that world. But the fact that we are a boutique firm, it allows us to control our culture, to create it, to nurture it, to, we all are on the same page with that. It gets a little harder to manage that the larger you get. But our whole team really understands that we are in the client service business, and we take that very seriously. And our clients know that they really can reach out to anybody on our team, and that it is a team. Even Michael and I work together on almost all of our client relationships, and we kind of mix it up in terms of who does which different roles and who takes a primary kind of contact position with some clients versus others, and we let that just sort of naturally play out. But we do cultivate a culture in terms of our responsiveness to clients, really hearing them and understanding what's important and following up on little things. As a small little example, during the whole COVID crisis and shut-in, we sent out sort of a little care package to our clients where we had a little bit of tea, a candle, some chocolate. It was sort of like a care package of things, hand sanitizer, like things that they couldn't find at the time. It was a very just small, thoughtful gift, but that was part of our culture. And I think that's part of the secret sauce.
Yeah. One other thing, Jim.
Sure, Michael.
The culture, although it's collaborative, everyone has a voice. So we all challenge each other. Monica and I don't agree on, actually Jim knows, we don't agree on a lot of things every day, right? but we get to the bottom line. So it's really great to have younger people in the firm who definitely have different ideas. And then, and even the male female, which you didn't touch on, Monica, different perspectives. And in client meetings, I think that's a great perspective, male-female perspective on two senior advisors. So in the end, the client really gets a great end product because of all that, interaction, collaboration, and us discussing a lot of things in-house where everyone has a voice.
I'll make one comment, and you both know that I mean this sincerely because I've said it about 800 times already. The male-female combination, you two as partners, coming and sitting down and talking to a family with all kinds of issues, from the mother-in-law down to the kids, having you both at the table is critically important, in my opinion, strong opinion, because we are a white male, older white male dominated industry, and that should change, period. We fired our financial advisor because he really, I remember saying to him, I said, John, I'm not firing you because you're not smart. You're being fired for two things. One, you don't know to ask the questions. Didn't ask enough questions, A, and B, you don't know how to talk to my wife. So that's a major part for everybody on the phone here. Part of your thought process down the road is, if you're going to venture into this industry and create your own investment advisory firm, think through all that and do your homework. All right, next question, and this is a beauty. I love this one as well. It's a fantastic one. Whoever put this one in here, around designations. We have many, Michael, Monica, you both know this, Katie. We have many talented individuals on this phone who are going for their CFP exam here shortly. And what are your thoughts around CFA, CPA, CFP, and what do you think about those licenses going forward, those designations?
Yeah. Why don't we tag team this a little bit?
Okay.
Okay.
Want me-
How about I start off with CFA?
Okay.
Because my son, who's not in our firm, is studying for that. So he passed level 1. He's an Investment Institute graduate, correct, Jim? Okay.
Absolutely.
So he's an Investnet guy. And he said, Dad, this is the hardest studying that I've ever had to do in my entire life. So CFA is very mathematics oriented, and it is a fantastic degree. I can tell you, when you pursue that, you better really know what you're doing with it, because that is going to get you into the money management business, meaning hedge fund business, private equity business, venture capital business, managing money in a big firm like BlackRock or Fidelity or one of the big mutual fund companies or Vanguard or whatever. It is a ticket to success in that industry, but you're not going to be doing what Monica and I just talked about. You're not going to be doing that. In other words, the money management arm that we have in New York, City National Rockdale, they're all CFAs, right? And I want them to be CFAs every day of their life, 24/7, because they're managing our clients' assets and doing a great job with it. So that is that designation, and it is difficult. 3 levels, level 1, 2, 3. They've mixed it up a little bit. If you fail level 2, you have to wait a whole year to take it again and all those sort of things. So it is a tough road. And I'm not saying one's harder than the others, because CFP and also CPA are very difficult. CFAs are, if you're going to go down that route, you've got to know what the end result's going to be.
So how about the CFP, right? Because several of you on the phone, right, are headed down that path. So Michael, when he was showing the milestones for our company, right, one of the things he noticed was when he obtained his CFP. He didn't need it to get started, right? He got started in a very ground up kind of way, right? I mean, he started more in the insurance oriented, going to small companies and making sure that they had different partners, that they had what's called key man life insurance and some other things along those lines.
Okay.
And
employee benefits and all that sort of stuff.
Benefits, right. So he sort of just started into it before he really knew and understood even what certifications might be necessary, right? Because in our industry, if you're affiliated with a broker dealer, which we are, you've got to get some basic licenses first before, in many cases, you even go after certification. So you have to have a Series 7, a Series 66, your insurance license. So those are some boxes that you need to check very early on if you're going to be affiliated with a broker dealer. If you're in what's called the RIA world, a registered investment advisory firm, those same licenses are not required. So many times in that case, you might go down the path of certification first. So I know even for me joining Michael after having had another career, had another career for close to 15 years. I just learned by doing, and I started checking off the list of those required licenses and never did the CFP. To this point, it's still something that is important to me, so much so that I am probably starting it just after Labor Day with Temple's program and going to do it in a very accelerated 9-month program. Because, and Jim, I was telling you the story, that I want to do some pro bono type work, volunteer work in our industry. And some of these organizations that want advisors to do that, they want you to have your CFP because they know it's sort of become the gold standard that they know then not only what experience you've had, but that you have passed a certain level of understanding about all the different aspects of our industry, so tax and insurance and investments, et cetera. And the CFP board has spent a fair amount of money to establish this certification, right? There's TVs on commercial and commercials on TV, right? And so our clients tend to know what that is, that designation. They don't know all the ins and outs of it, but they know it means something. And they know they should be asking if their advisor, has that designation or not. CFA, they don't understand, at all. When we tell them that our money manager, that they all have their CFA, again, they know it's a hard test. They know it's a certain bar, but they don't know what's involved in it.
True.
CPA, when you're going to do advisory work, you have to understand tax. You must. And it's something that if you want to take that even a step further and pursue your CPA, if you have an inclination that way, an understanding that way, a good understanding of accounting, and you do your own taxes, you do somebody else's taxes, if you are inclined that way, that's a wonderful marriage to be able to blend the CPA.
Yeah. That can be really valuable. I will tell you that CPAs in our industry are not prevalent. They're not. I mean, they're there, but more of the CPA route is public accounting, audit, doing tax in a CPA firm, all those sort of things. That's definitely the CPA route. And then after the fact, a lot of CPAs say, hey, you know what? I don't really want to do that anymore. I want to be in the investment advisory world. They come with the CPA, and it's great. The fact that, we have one in our firm is fantastic. It's not a prerequisite, though, and I would say that out of those 3 degrees, CFP, for what we're talking about, is the gold standard.
Yeah, I would agree.
So Monica, guys, we're gonna go with 2 more questions, and Katie will open it up and
Sure.
take from the crowd here. You mentioned pro bono. Many of the CFP candidates that Katie and I have spoken to, quite a few of them, actually just about all of them, Katie, I think, we're asking the question, how do we give back? How do we help out low-income families, financial literacy? It's all the buzz now, but what do you actually do? What can you do to help? And any advice you guys could give would be beneficial to the group here.
So, first of all, most of us in this industry really enjoy helping our clients, right? We're solving things that are super important to them. And regardless of the amount of wealth that they have, those things are meaningful in their life when you are helping them find solutions for things. In terms of helping low-income families or those less fortunate, or from my perspective, I also definitely have the desire to give back to women who are not always as financially astute and involved. There are many, many, many opportunities in our industry to do that, but most of them come after you've gotten your sea legs, right? After you really have gone out, you've built your foundation, you're making a decent living so that you're able to support yourself in this career, right? Because that's part of why you have a career. You then are in a much better position between your knowledge and your own footing to then give back through, like I said, various organizations. Savvy Ladies is one, that I know of out there that is focused on financial literacy for women. But the National Association of Financial Planners has opportunities for advisors to volunteer. During COVID, they were asking advisors to step up and donate some of their time to give free, planning hours or just short-term kind of advice to folks in need. So there are so many avenues you can go. I think it's a harder road if you try and do that from the very beginning, when you really haven't established your own breadth and depth of knowledge yet, and your own financial security, right? Because There was a slide that we had up there a short time ago that, there was just one saying on it, and it said, if you want to be a good financial steward for other people, you better be a good financial steward for yourself and your own wealth. So you need to establish that a little bit in order to be able to give back even more.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more with what Monica said. And, we are in a position now where all of us have different charities that we embrace, and the firm does also. And whenever we can give back, we do and will and continue to do so. For everyone just coming out of school, college, just doing the CFP and everything else, I think you keep that as part of who you are, but you really got to get some experience. You really got to get yourself in a financial, stability mode yourself. And then I think you're better at giving advice to, people in need. I really do. If you start off doing that right away, I think it's going to be a really tougher road, to go down.
There are some things closer to home that you can do, because this was one of my areas of advice was, I mentioned earlier about doing your own taxes in order to learn tax, right? It's one very simple way. Start by doing your own. You can help out others around me if you have family members or friends, et cetera, who are struggling with that. You can offer to do their taxes because you're learning at the same time, but you're helping somebody. If you have a friend who is struggling in managing debt, paying down student loans, or, whatever, they got themselves into credit card debt, et cetera, you can volunteer there very close to home in a way that would help them while you are learning, because that's one area that, especially the accumulators, like Michael was talking about earlier, they really need help with budgeting and understanding debt and understanding when they should take on debt, what type of debt, lots of things that you can answer there for your peers, but you could start by doing it on a voluntary basis to somebody that's in need, that's close to you. A small business, if there's a small business that somebody in your family has or a friend has or you have a connection to, where you might be able to volunteer some of your time to help that small business. And in the meantime, you're learning and understanding, you want to do it in a way where you have real access and and understand how the accounting of that small business and other things about the way it operates. Then you're helping somebody close to home, but learning at the same time. Those are all good opportunities, a way to give back, but learn at the same time.
Those were great answers. And for everybody on the phone here, Bill Kreger, the chairman, CEO of InvestNet, this is one of his passions, way up at the top of the list. Financial literacy, diversity in our business, number 2, and several others. Well, as far as financial literacy, you'll find that as you all mature in this business, firms like InvestNet will be at the lead with the ability for you to pull off tools and lessons and things you can bring into your local high school, so you don't have to go and build them yourself. So just keep in mind that all of that is well underway, and it's going to be fun to watch. Katie, you want to take the lead now?
One last thing. Listen, there's always one last thing. Michael
Sure.
mentioned earlier that we have a side of our business that where we help companies with their 401k plan. There's a component of that is helping them with what investments to have in the 401k plan. But there's another component of that which is doing education, financial education for their participants. If that is an area where you are really inclined in terms of spreading financial literacy, there are a tremendous number of opportunities for you in that 401k business around participant education. Because many of the folks, and we have a couple relationships where even Michael and I are involved as well, and there's such a range of understanding out there of not just what's going on inside their 401k, but how they manage their finances outside there. So that's another area that if you really are inclined that way, make a living.
It's a great point. It's not just underprivileged low-income people. These are college graduate folks in these businesses that are white collar industries that don't know anything about finances, nothing. So we're spending a lot of time there just getting everyone to understand how to use tools and budgeting and all these things that are on 401k platforms that you can get for free and use. So.
All right, so I'll jump in. Anybody that is dialed in, please feel free to enter a question in the question area that we said in the beginning. So if you have anything specific, please share and I can ask it to the speakers. But I do have one question. So Michael and Monica, for anybody that wants to get their foot in the door, what job or internships are recommended for like new grads and career changers? Like what would you suggest if they were interested in the wealth management industry? Like what's a good guidance in to get started and get your foot in the door? Big firm, small firm, like what would you suggest?
Let me start. The internships are tough to get. I mean, it just, that's like, I feel it and see it. Like, and we've got to figure that out, Jim, I know you guys do a great job with that, but I don't know. I think firms like ours aren't aware of, the ability to bring on interns. I think we learned that from InvestNet and you guys, and then we became very comfortable with it, and it's going to be part of our life going forward, right? So, a firm like ours and/or a big firm, I think is going to give someone, perspective on different things, and they're going to learn a lot in either environment. The thing that Monica said, I think was great in some of our, prep for this is you don't want to get this internship where you're scanning documents all day or something like that, right? You don't.
There's a lot of those out there.
Yeah, I mean, you gotta, up front know, okay, what am I gonna have exposure to? Who am I gonna have exposure to? Can I learn some things and have a list of, in our firm, you would want to be in a client meeting, you would want to understand, how we prep for the meeting and do, see the money management process, see all of our systems, understand, things that we do on a daily basis. See some of the expertise that we use from our CFP backgrounds and tax and all those sort of things. That would be a great experience. But at the same time, you go to a big firm, and let's just say it's a money management firm, and you really get into the weeds on the money management end of things, and you would really learn that. If you wanted to learn the money management side and all the intricacies there, you wouldn't probably come to our firm for that. So I think you just have to be relentless in trying to be the squeaky wheel that gets the grease. I think people who really were aggressive with us, we ended up talking to them more than people who just sent us something in the mail and never followed up. So
yeah, as far as applying, you do, correct. People are busy, right? So you might have to follow up multiple times. Don't be, embarrassed to do that or shy of doing that. I do think, Michael, like you were saying, you want to make sure if you get the opportunity for an internship that you're getting some exposure to some learning things, but be prepared, because you're also going to have to do some stuff that it makes most sense for the intern to do versus like in our firm, Michael or I doing it. You are going to scan some documents. You are going to do some things that are, low man on the totem pole kind of thing. What you want to make sure is that that is married up with some other learning experiences, which is what we try and do with our interns. As new associates coming in, right? So we said that we have a couple associates on board. Megan came to us with some experience already. Josh did not. He came to us only with our internship as his experience. And he's had to build into or grow into some of the things in his role. And initially, he really did more project type work. He's very good with spreadsheets, and so there were some easy things to give him to start learning, and for us to best understand his talents. His talents are a little bit different than Megan's, so we are learning how to utilize them in slightly different ways. But he didn't walk in day one and be in client meetings. That's just not typically how that happens. So you have to have expectations that are in line with where you are and your knowledge, at that point.
Katie, I'd say, and Jim, you can correct me if I'm wrong. I don't think, someone sits there with 5 different opportunities, right, for an internship. If you have 2, that's amazing, I think. And a lot of times you have 1. So bigger, small ticket, and everything in between. And I encourage everyone to just be aggressive in that regard.
So I
And
do a
go
little
the extra mile. And go the extra mile. If you get an opportunity, and let's say they're just throwing a bunch of stuff at you that you feel like it's busy work. I know Josh, who is now hired, one of the things he had to do as an intern is in one of our reporting systems, the way that we were titling the accounts for clients was inconsistent. So one of his jobs was he had to go through all that titling and he had to make it consistent. If it was an IRA account, the way we were saying that it was an IRA had to be the same across everything. He did that for the entire summer, right? That's not a great, fun job. It needed to be done. He was the most likely person to do it. But if that meant that he had to then stay an extra hour that night because he caught me in a conversation where he was able to pick my brain about something, or with Linda or anybody else on the team, once you're in the door, your foot is in the door, accept the fact you might have to be doing some of these things that you think might be busy work, but take advantage of it, build it into, another opportunity.
Jim, what were you going to say?
Well, we do have some graduates, recent graduates on the phone. Probably a tough time right now to be in front of somebody face-to-face, internship, entry-level job.
Yeah, true.
One of the suggestions I am making constantly, daily, is get a list of your RIA firms within 25, 50 miles of where you are. Doesn't mean you have to show up there. Write them a letter, write them a cover letter, tell them you'll do a project, time box it, give them a couple of ideas. I'll research robo investing and give you a write-up. I'll research what millennials are thinking these days about investing. I'll give you a write-up. Don't ask for salary, ask for time to discuss their business, their practice, and learn more. And do it over 6 weeks.
I like that a lot.
I think it's a great idea. I mean, it's beyond the informational interview, right? Where you really were just asking for somebody's time. You weren't quite really looking for a job, but you really did want access and you wanted exposure. I mean,
Right.
I think that's that all a step further. I think that's a excellent idea. I mean, firms are going to be looking for somebody, everybody is trying to maintain current clients. If you had some opportunities that were already in the pipeline, you're trying to work through those. But we have the discussions ourselves internally. We have every intentions of getting, more even kind of on a path of growth. And we're not the only ones that are thinking like that, because there's opportunity out there at the same time this is all happening, right? Because there's uncertainty. There's people that need more advice. They need to understand, how do they recover from this? How do they react the next time we're in a similar situation, et cetera, et cetera. It just creates opportunity because there is this level of uncertainty. So don't give up, right? Because there is going to be, there's need out there. There's need out there for the work
How are we doing on questions? Katie?
I'm sorry. Oh, so we're getting another question. What does the technology stack look like for your firm?
Michael, I'll let you answer that.
So what does it look like?
Michael, do you know what a technology stack is?
Yes, but I complain about it every day, I can tell you that. The ultimate software and stack for our firm is still evolving. So, we have this very robust financial planning software. We have a great CRM system. We try to integrate everything that we do because it's all cloud-based, including our money management and all those sort of things. So our stack needs work. And where it needs work is integration with each other. And I think we will get there, but I think the ultimate efficiency is going to be where we know what we want the result to be from our software and technology. The issue is that we have workarounds where it's not all integrated. And I think other firms struggle with that a little bit too, and other firms have mastered it. And I think we will get there. And we're going to experiment a little bit with it, but we may have to make changes with some of the, long-standing programs that we've used for a lot of years. That's how I see it. But we're going to evolve and do the best that we can. I don't think our clients necessarily see all the frustration that we do internally, and that's good. But I think we can do a better job with more efficiency.
Yeah, so we, because we're not all on one platform, which some of the, larger broker houses type things have, are all on one platform, or, InvestNet certainly puts out a very integrated suite of different products. We're on a couple different platforms, and as we've said, we outsource really the investment management piece, so they have their own platform. But there are a number of things that are integrated or are tools that you would know once you're in the industry a little bit more. So eMoney is the planning software that we use. It's one of the most popular planning softwares, that and Money Guide Pro and a couple others. And it is a very robust system. And to a certain degree, we can integrate it with our investment management solution to a certain degree. We'd like that to be more developed. We'd like to be able to use that to do a little bit more stress testing on the portfolios in a very integrated way. There's a lot of other tools out there. There's Riskalyze, there's Hidden Levers, there's a bunch that are all centered around stress testing. And folks are trying to figure out how to integrate those individual tools into their broader solution. So I think, Michael, when you're talking about it, those are areas that we would like to see that further developed, but it's most likely not going to be us that's doing that. So City National Rockdale, our partner, is also very aware of that, and they know that we use eMoney, and a lot of other advisors do, and they are trying to work from their end to help integrate these. We use Redtail for the CRM system. It is, I think it sits actually on a Salesforce chassis, but it's not as robust as Salesforce. And there's just a handful of them in our industry that are most common. I think Ebix is another one. So we have various software and technology platforms that we use. We purchase most of that through Lincoln as our broker dealer. So some of it has to be vetted by them. And but we've got new account paperwork that is required by Lincoln as our broker dealer, and we have new account paperwork that's required to open an account at City National Rockdale. City National Rockdale has rolled out electronic paperwork. Lincoln has not yet with the part that is their document. So when Michael, you hear some frustration there, it's because it's not just a press the button and all the data in our CRM system goes to new account documents and what Lincoln needs, et cetera. There's still human intervention.
Yeah. You can tell that I don't do any of that work, Jim.
Yeah, I'm just cracking up.
Yeah.
And can I say,
that's what I love about what InvestNet's doing. Everything you just mentioned is really what.
No. Exactly. That's what I'm saying. I mean, InvestNet has all those stackable things. It's going to happen with all that. But I think there's a lot of firms like ours that struggle that way a little bit.
Well, and that are already on certain platforms and need a way for them to connect together. One of the things is, part of the reason I know so much about that process, for those of you on the phone who are career changers, because we didn't answer that question, or are thinking about career changing, and or just as a foot in the door, is don't dismiss the operations side of a practice. Because that is where I started as a career changer. I did not come in as an advisor. I came in to handle the day-to-day operations of the practice. And then I built from there. I got my licensing, I built my knowledge, my product knowledge. I had a good solid foundation of accounting and finance, things like that. But I needed to learn about this industry. And I learned it from the ground up. And it is amazing what you learn and how that helps you then even, I think, in being a better advisor, because you really do know and understand how all these things need to work. So companies like ours, they might be hiring on the operations side and still want somebody who is very knowledgeable about our industry and has the same work ethic and everything else that we do. And that is just another way for a foot in the door that could blossom into something else. So I wouldn't dismiss that.
And as you grow, there's an advantage to knowing how the plumbing works.
That's correct.
Oh,
Right.
no question. No question.
Hey,
So I know. Yeah, so I know we're at the end of our webinar event, and we did have a few more questions from people that dialed in. So with that being said, we will definitely get an answer to your questions after the event. We will contact you directly with an answer. And if there aren't any other topics that we could discuss, I would love to thank Michael and Monica and Jim for taking time out of their busy schedules today to join us. And thank you to all that dialed in to join this discussion. I think it was a very invaluable discussion and it's wonderful. So any suggestions or thoughts after the call, please share them with me directly. And with that, I would like to say thank you all. Thank you. It was a wonderful
Our
event and
pleasure.
discussion. Thank you.
Katie. Thanks for
everybody.
inviting us,
Bye,
Jim.
everybody.
It was great.
See y'all.
Bye.
Take care.